Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a wonderful and bloody day. Hope everything is going to great and well for you. Well, we have a lot of crazy stuff. We have, Chicago being Chicago. We have NFL rejecting Colin Kaepernick for obvious and good reasons. You have Pamela Price with her insane charging of, dropping the charges of a racial attack and many, many more. It's almost like it's going to complete shit out here in these streets, but I'm here to show you these streets in terms of all the political great stuff. So hope you guys are having a great time. Let's see here. What could I possibly do for the future as well? What I'm probably going to do for the future is that I will try to do a little bit more of the gaming stuff. I keep saying this, but it's obviously a failure on my end. There's so much news that's important, and the gaming stuff, although important because woke culture kind of influences and enters our obviously the gaming sphere of that aspect. It kind of just goes under the back burner a little bit because it's not as important, but it's important too. And then you also have a little bit of the man thing that's going on, and I don't know why that keeps randomly cutting off. It's kind of odd. Actually, hold on. I might actually have the solution to this. I think the solution is quite simple. For whatever reason, this is only a live version of the picture that I sent, and for some apparent reason, that's the only thing that will go. Where is that one other version? Try that. Just try that. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'll have to fix that off stream if it keeps on doing that stupid stuff. But it shouldn't, but it does. Anyhow, that cancer is to be addressed at some point or another. So without further ado, we'll probably get into the Chicago teen stuff. Now, granted, this is from Black Conservative perspective, so I got some of his content from him today, and obviously, I'm going to go over a few bits of this video. I'm going to skip his talking about it, obviously, and I only want to show you this stuff that's going on for the most part, so hopefully you all will enjoy this. So, without further ado here, let's get into the Chicago madness.
Kids, look what they did inside of this 7-Eleven with this dramatic ass music playing behind me. I'm just trying to find an ATM, and these kids, wow, whoop your kids' ass tonight.
Y'all kids bad than them. Fucked up 7-Eleven.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So as you guys can see there, obviously what you're seeing is a store being looted by teens and it destroying everything. Here's the thing here. I don't know if people are going to probably realize this or think that the understanding of, the reality of what everything is. But here's the one thing I will tell you and want people to understand. That this is all no father in the home type of behavior. Just straight up, just not a thing. And I think the fact of the matter is that we have, when there's no father in the home, you get delinquents, you get stuff like this. It's just plain and simple. And nobody wants to address the single motherhood, the amount of single motherhood that honestly demolishes the black community in general, and to what we see, what we get these results. Yeah, I like how the black lady's like, you need to whoop their ass. Well, guess what? Whooping their ass is not going to do much because apparently, even still, with the right discipline or what have you, single mothers still seem to severely, fall behind in that category. And even still, what we see from statistics from the male fathers or what have you, and I do agree that some of you could say, yeah, well, there's a low amount of single fathers. There's not a lot of single fathers out there that that we could probably get a proper report on. I agree with this as in this retrospect, right? That there's just not enough single fathers. However, the reporting was done, and I may believe in Canada, which we can kind of get a rough estimate of kind of like what it's like to be with single father statistics here, and it's gone to like at least 1,000 plus something cities. So you're getting a good healthy amount of people at least in single fatherhood to kind of get a rough estimate of why single fathers are just happen to be better than single mothers in this retrospect. And I think there is an issue with both single fathers and single mothers. However, I think the more important ideals, the bigger things that single fathers do, have a bit more importance onto a kid's life than what a single mother would technically provide. Single father will provide, safety nets and all this other great stuff, whereas single mothers, they'll provide maybe the more emotional support and stuff like that and the nurturing, but at the same time, single fathers are still, on bad behavior. And this is just the cause of it. I don't think that I would probably guess that a majority of these kids have a single mother in the home. It's just straight up fact. And it's just the fact that we have to come to this realization. It's not hating on women for saying this, okay? It's just not. And the black community unfortunately suffers through this the most in this regard. And I think that's just the case. And due to this is that when they suffer the most from this, we have to come down and make laws to fix this. I may believe Larry Elder is the person that is trying to fix this, and when it becomes president, and try to have a single mother home. And as much as I would agree with this right ability to do so, I don't think it's quite time. We need to get rid of the corrupt people out of our government first before we can even address that issue. Because even though we fix single motherhood and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to fix any of the corruptness. The corruptness will take over the country, and even if you have good single mothers, it will still be a massive issue. So, yeah, there's just more of this where there's just complete chaos. So we're going to take a look at this.
Yeah, so pure insanity and chaos that is being perpetrated by the young scholars of America, okay? Because, again, if you listen to woke progressors, right, like Brandon Johnson, right, they'll tell you these kids are not criminals, right? They're not
Yeah, and this is one of the main things that I see that is wrong, and with the reality of what Johnson is doing. Let's add more jobs, and not put a stop to the actual crimes that is happening. Kids respond, especially men, respond well to hard realities and hard criticisms, and they will stop doing this fuck shit if you just put punishments. But if you don't have punishments or laws in place, you're going to have anybody, teen or adult, act like a fool. And that's just the reality of it. You can't just tell me that they're not going to start acting a fool, especially with teens, with the way their brains work, that they're not going to act a fool. And a single mother household compounds this issue entirely. And I don't see how any of this is going to be remotely good on society if this is going on. Now, this is what I told one of my good people that I play league with, is that he went to Chicago, and the teen takeover is almost constant in Chicago. It doesn't stop. And they're destroying things, destroying their community like a bunch of idiots that they are. And I don't see how this is going to really go good. This is what I'm talking about. The purge is happening in Chicago, and when Johnson came into play. I mean, they already put in those laws where it was pretty much purge-like, and now it really is like the purge, where you have every single weekend, it's just team takeover over team takeover, and it's just destroying the community, it's destroying the jobs, and honestly, the only way to make this stop is to get black women in line and maybe stop doing this stupid shit. Maybe, honestly, get women in line and stop doing this stuff. Because if you're going to just keep on breaking up with your man or whatever, just because, reasons of the way the society is, it's not going to end up well. And you're seeing the actual results. This is the results of single motherhood, ladies and gentlemen. And if we're not going to say that this is not the case, it's a rude awakening. Well, we have a little bit more. From not necessarily the Chicago area, but we have a bit more with the NFL. And it seems that 32 NFL teams reject Colin Kaepernick. So let's watch, shall we, on how we see Colin Kaepernick really just not doing well in this on the field and outside of the field.
So obviously no team can win forever. If this team doesn't win it all, how should it be judged?
I never thought about that.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about.
Yeah, so we have this here. Obviously, NFL teams reportedly make final decision on Colin Kaepernick. The reason why I'm doing Black Conservative Perspective right now, by the way, guys, too, is it makes it a little bit easier to get legitimate videos from this guy, and you compile the videos with the article, and it makes a lot more sense of what's going on. His format is normally just doing videos. I like to do both. I like to give you the actual article in itself, and I like to show you the video so you guys get a better understanding of what's really going on here. It's just a better bang for your buck. And what we're seeing here is that Colin Kaepernick is, being made a fool of by a lot of these things. And I don't think Colin Kaepernick is a great role model. We always see him bend the knee and do stuff like that and what have you. Did you look up the bill that passed in Illinois about recruiting illegals into police force? Yes. I think I did a video on that last week, ? But yeah, it's crazy. I don't think that this is gonna go well for Chicago. Again, I don't really feel bad for people in Chicago, because it's like you have a lot of these black folk, a lot of these black people voting continuously Democrat over and over and over again and getting the same results. It's just like, it's a form of stupidity that I just can't sympathize with. It's one thing, right? If, you vote for a certain people maybe once or twice and you get bad results, and that's bad, right? We made a mistake. But when you constantly vote over and over again Democrats because you think that they're going to solve your problems, you think they're their way out, then that's just on you, and you deserve every type of bad stuff you get. Same thing with Republicans, though. I mean, if you vote in a bad Republican and you get horrible, terrible results when it comes down to Republicans, I mean, if you keep voting for them regardless of the situation, I mean, you're an idiot too, right? I mean, you can't just keep on voting people that are bad for your state, bad for your country, and expect different results. It's stupidity and honestly dumb that happens. So. I reported that it passed. If it passed recently, then it might have been something different. But I do know that Johnson, I think it says Johnson, right? Johnson, that also did pass a bill. I do know that Johnson passed something like that in Chicago about a week ago. It could have been 2 weeks ago, honestly. Time's moving so fast. But he did pass it, and there were a lot of black people that were angry about over Johnson's policing and stuff like that, and they went to the area to essentially announce their concerns about it, and as I did that reporting, it was more along the lines of like, I understood their anger. I just didn't feel sympathy for them because like you guys knew this was going to happen. They said that they felt betrayed and stuff like that, and I'm like, you guys can't feel betrayed because you guys were literally told that this was going to happen. He said this was going to happen. You're just trying to deflect to make yourselves feel bad about it because you're too stupid to realize it. So everything was announced in public. Everything was known, and you still allowed it to happen. So again, I can't feel bad for these people. Same thing where I can't feel bad for people still voting, like still being in California and saying like, oh, it's awful, whatever, or that voting differently in California and things still remain, terrible. I don't feel I feel sympathy for some people that are living in California and can't escape, such as myself. Some people just literally just do not have the actual funds to escape California, and that's not really their fault, to be honest. That's the way I see it here. You have to vote based on policy, not looks and party. Yeah, I know, 100% agree. And I think a lot of people are just sheep in the fact that they just vote on looks and party and not have to vote on actual ability. I think a relative does this too, where she is like, oh, well, this guy is not bad as Joe Biden. I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean he's not terrible, right? Like, you have to look at the respect that he's just terrible. It's like being better than Joe Biden is not a accomplishment because being better than Joe Biden is not very hard. So you have to give me something that can produce better things than Joe Biden, better than Joe Biden. Okay, what are their policies? What do they look like? And this is the reason why I have a lot of respect for Trump in this regard, because I don't care about his mouth. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care whatever. I don't care his age. What I care about is the policy and what he does for the country. And if people can just wake up and stop voting for just a specific party because it's their party, then we'll probably be a lot better place in this country. But again, it's hard to say that when you have idiots doing this stuff, right? So it is what it is, right? But it doesn't mean we can't fix it. And I think that we're coming to a point to where we can't. It's shifting. Yeah, it is. I tried to. It's like, oh, he's better than Joe Biden. I think it was Robert Jr. or something like Robert JFK or something like that. Jr. And again, if it's Robert JFK, I can understand. But as for me, I haven't done enough research on the man, so I can't say whether he's good or not. But I do know the media is going after him, so he can't possibly be that bad of a guy, honestly. So yeah, what we're gonna do here, you guys, is that we'll do this one simple thing to where I'll go to this article here for you all. So I don't think there was a Democrat that I liked previously before. A lot of Democrats that I guess you could say that I do like have flipped and I think a lot of them And I think a lot of them specifically, what's the word? I think a lot of them specifically are closer to my train of thought a little bit than the others. And that's the reason why there's a shift in the divide in the Democratic community. And that's the reason why I don't think that you're going to be getting a lot of Democrats voting, because you have to either be full-on bloody insane to vote Democrat this time around, or, vote Democrat horribly. So what we have here is that we have the Kaepernick is holding out hope for an NFL comeback. The former NFL starting quarterback who last played in the league in 2016 continues to showcase his talent for potential teams across the league. But a comeback isn't happening. A source close to the DailyMail.com told the outlet that NFL teams have unanimously decided to not pursue Kaepernick, even with the recent injury to Joe Burrow and the likelihood of other NFL QBs getting injured this season. There is no scenario where, even if and when talked about, that Colin Kaepernick and Tom Brady would come and fill those voids and sign with an NFL team this season, the report states. Tom is retired for good. He's done, and Colin, no matter how many workouts he does for teams or private workouts he does with current players, no team is signing him, and no team is signing him, and no team is signing them. Every team has its backups and is clearly not hoping for injury, but when and if it occurs, there will be no attempt to ask either player to join their team. It is just not going to happen. GMs will look elsewhere. This is, of course, not surprising, at least when it comes to Kaepernick. He hasn't played in the league since 2016, and a comeback at this point would be shocking. Yeah, I would agree with this. I think it's been way too long that Kaepernick has been in the team, and I think he's just too much of a liability in every stretch of the wagon for any team to want to pick him up. Also, he's a bloody idiot. He's also the same person that called his own parents racist. So, I mean, if you really want somebody around like that, it's just, God forbid, terrible. This is what happens when you get in politics, Kaepernick. You make yourself look like an absolute idiot. You don't get anything good or regard, and you get pretty much, out. Well, we have this here, guys. And this is unfortunate. With the elder abuse, so-called charge, and I'm gonna let you guys know, it's Pamela Price striking back, and Pamela Price striking with a great force, because she believes that attacking Asians is okay.
Police say that they have the man they believe attacked a 72-year-old woman outside a grocery store.
And the incident was caught on camera. KTVU's Alyssa Harrington joining us live from outside Hayward Police Headquarters with the very latest on this story. Alyssa?
Yeah, certainly disturbing video. I got a chance to speak with some customers outside that same grocery store who were just shocked to hear about what happened. Now, even though police say that they arrested this person for a hate crime, that person ended up only being charged with elder abuse.
Shocking surveillance video shows the moment a man strikes a 72-year-old woman in the face, knocking her to the ground outside of a store in Hayward. This happened outside the Filipino grocery store called Seafood City the morning of July 21st.
We arrived on scene and saw that she had been struck on the face. She fell to the ground. The man who struck her fled the scene prior to our arrival, but luckily there was surveillance footage.
Officer Cassandra Fovel with the Hayward Police Department said the attack appeared to be unprovoked and the two did not know each other. She said officers reviewed the footage and recognized the suspect from previous incidents.
Officers patrolled the area throughout the day, and later that evening they found him in that same area and took him into custody.
The man, identified as 25-year-old Steve Karanja, was arrested for elder abuse and a hate crime. The case was then handed over to the district attorney's office, which is only charging him with elder abuse, not the hate crime. In court documents, Karanja is described as a transient.
We're concerned about any type of violence, whether it's against a protected party or a specific race. It's something that we take very seriously and we have no tolerance for here in Hayward.
Just ran here and hit somebody? That's not acceptable.
We talked to some customers outside Seafood City. They were shocked to hear about the attack and upset it involved an Asian elder.
That's sad. I mean, people shouldn't be. Nowadays it's very hard to tell, people's minds.
Police said the victim was traumatized by the incident, but will be okay.
Now, on the City of Hayward's website.
Now, unfortunately, I don't think I can show all of it. I think I just accidentally showed this, but you know.
And how to identify.
But this is something that we see here that that it was just charged with elder abuse because of the mere fact that Pamela Price refuses to go after this guy for an actual hate crime. And we see that black people automatically do this type of stuff. Why not a hate crime? I don't know either. This is Coltrane. This is something that we see constantly here with Pamela Price. That Pamela will go on and see charges that are supposedly, against her ideals or something, and or whatever, or see charges that should be allowed, understanding, and then go after either her political opponents and charge them, or she'll see somebody commit an actual crime or hate crime or whatever, and she'll knock back down a hate crime charge or knock back down a certain charge, and then she just that's where you get. I mean, you could go and murder like 3 or 4 people in Oakland and then get and then the judge will say, oh, well, here you go, you're gonna get like 15 plus years at least in prison for this, if not lifetime. And then you have Pamela Price, which is a DA, she'll knock that down to like maybe a couple of years or remove some of that stuff entirely. And that's just the way that she works. This is a constant ongoing thing, and she won't black people are immunity to her, right? She will, anytime a black person is honestly in the limelight for doing a crime, you will be charged, you'll get less charges, you'll get less of a punishment. Whereas if you're a white person or Asian, you get either, or a cop, you get extra charged, you'll get charged extra, or what have you. It's just the way that she operates. And Pamela Price is just not the person for for Oakland. She is terrible. A lot of these DAs are outright awful, and I just cannot see to where this is even remotely okay. And for the record, YouTube, don't strike my channel just because I show a little bit of a hate crime and violence here, and what have you. I don't think they will, because if Fox 2 San Francisco does this, it will do whatever. But I'm showing this to you all to kind of show what's going on. You would hear white supreme 10K times in court. Yeah. I mean. Yeah, no, I agree. Cops should be held at a higher standard. I agree. I think that our whole justice system needs to be, honestly, immensely revamped in every regard. I agree that there are some cops. I think cops are a bit too protected in some cases. Because, you have some of the outstanding cops that are, that don't do these heinous things, right? But at the same time, there needs to be more heavy punishments and stuff like that for cops and what have you. If you have a whole group of people or police force that's bad, like the Uvalde ones, I would like to see all those cops be put in jail, because they did a horrible disservice to everybody involved. And I don't think that the cops should ever have to not, or should ever never not face repercussions for their actions. Plain and simple. So I think that the cops and everything need to be completely revamped in some type of way. I think that the cops, because they're part of the government, should be held to a way higher standard than the rest of the public, because they are pretty much the face of the public. And of course, our justice system needs to be completely revamped. But I understand that in this political atmosphere, the way that we're in right now, we can't. People are getting attacked for political motives rather than people getting attacked for the right motives, right? They're not getting, they're not really being punished correctly. you have generally 6 people. Some rightfully deserve to be put in jail, while others, and I think majority, are not rightfully deserved to be put into jail. And the Democrats are going after their opponents politically and charging them, and I don't think that's okay. That is a 2-tier system, if not a 3-tier system, and that needs to be fixed at some point. I'm super sick of police getting away with crimes that would put us in jail. Yes, exactly, 100%. I think the creator does this to where, like, a police can enter your home, and you can't shoot back at him because it can enter your home at night, and you can't shoot back at him, and you're rightfully in the person's mind you're just defending yourself, and they can pretty much, end you or do whatever and not be punished for it. And I understand that you have to explain onto why this would not be a bad case, or why that would be, how that's not bad, when police can do pretty Gestapo stuff and get away with it, and we can't have that here. We need to make sure that police can't do these things. And again, I don't want to defund the police because we've seen how terrible that was, but I think a complete police restructure and stuff like that needs to happen across the country, not in just some areas. I think across the country, a lot of police departments need to be completely restructured. They need to have a way better understanding of their of the actual laws in place, because it just doesn't seem to do well. The audit kind of shows this on how a lot of police officers just don't know the law, and it just things need to be addressed. That's the reason why that I'm concerned with the whole police stuff, and it's just ridiculous as this is ongoing. But this story here with the Pamela Price, that's just not good. We have here from the trans rugby player confronted as unhinged teammates scream. Police arrive. One of the 3 women injured by Ash Davis last month has said, "I had never been hit like that before, even at the competitive women's level. There's so much more brute force. There are women who are bigger than him, but no girl hits like that. This is a strong human." Well, I can kind of understand. I can kind of tell you why this is. This is a strong human, and why this is. A thing that even bigger women are not hitting like him. It's because it's a man. It's a man. And I don't see to where you're going to tell me that, no girls hit like that. Well, you're dealing with a man here, and they kind of hit harder. They're a bit more muscular. They have more testosterone. They're bigger. And, they kind of just, give that bigger oomph that women seem to realize. We're going to watch this video here a bit and kind of see on how dangerous this is.
Mr. Davis, Ash, why are you doing this? I'm David Menzies, Rebel News.
Hi. No, you're not really a part of this. Human rights!
What about the human rights of biological women being injured by this man? As a mother, why would you expose your kids to a massage?
Because that is my partner! That is my wife that you are being...
So he's a lesbian?
It's not a sport, or it's not an issue.
I'm a registered social worker, sir, and I demand human rights for everybody.
Oh, okay. They just... Yeah, what's a biological female?
How do you feel about a biological male playing in rugby, man?
Thank you! I don't really give a f***. Everybody!
Okay. I don't know what is a crime in.
It's actually hilarious that these people are, saying like, "Oh, that's a man." Yeah, well, I guess you just, again, these women don't care that their own sex sex is getting literally severely injured or what have you at all by this. They don't care. So when we go with this and we're saying, "Oh, women should have the ability to have these rights, women that have this," well, women are literally destroying their rights single-handedly. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. And women, please tell me if I'm going out of line here, but when you have women voting for this stuff like this, when you have women saying, oh, they don't care, oh, and them screaming, that's my husband, that's my whoever, and then you have 3 women being injured being put on a stretcher, yeah, I think that's a bit of a problem, don't you think? To where, like, you may want to stop the lunacy of this issue, right? I don't see how we can remotely see how this is okay. We have this as well, that meet Dash Davis, or is it Ashley these days? Mr. Davis plays for the Fergus Highlands women's team. He tackles hard, just ask those 3 women players who suited up for the Stony Creek Camels last month, who had to be removed from the game thanks to Ash's debilitating tackles. Ash is clearly a male. In fact, he doesn't even try to look female. He has an Adam's apple, male pattern baldness, and setting in, and it's impossible to ignore those leg muscles. We visited Fergus on last Saturday to take in a game between the Highlanders and Burlington. We think it's safe to describe Ash's style as ambush predator, which is to say he spends most of the time on the pitch, casually strolling around and not that active at all. But what he's actually doing is waiting for a female player on the other side to take possession of the ball, then he goes into charging rhino mode. Think of that infamous hit Scott Stevens rendered onto Eric Lindros a few decades ago. That is Ash's style, except he's a male and his victims are female. It is outrageous, it is egregious, and is clearly unsafe for real women to play against this brute, and is perhaps the most overlooked, unreported Canadian sports story of 2023. Aside from size and strength, makes our physically more dexterous. Yeah, exactly. Again, this is not really surprising. This is happening in Canada, by the way. So Canada, I'm sorry for you guys that are in Canada and that don't agree with this. Your Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a menace to your society, a menace to your country, and he should probably be promptly removed immediately for your own people's sanity and your country, because he is a joke. He is what we say, a communist in every single regard. And as far as we can see, Joe Warmington of the Toronto Sun is the only mainstream media ascribed to a pen story on this gender-bending grifter. Indeed, Warmington noted that female players for the Stony Creek team felt as though they were being hit by a bus on the field or their truck. Stated one injured player, I have never been hit like that before, even at the competitive women level. There was so much more brute force. There are women who are bigger than him, but no girl hits like that. Strong human. Blah, 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 which is already gone over. I don't know if I had to repeat it. Naturally, given our cancel culture environment that is championed by the Rainbow Mafia, the women did not want to give her name. Deanna Murphy, a friend of some of the players, tweeted the 3 women's rugby players had been removed from a game and treated for injuries from sustained by trans women, and that she feels trans have no place in women's sports. But get this, Ash being on the field goes against the sport's governing body, World Rugby. World notes that it should be obvious in the statement, transgender women may not currently play women's rugby. Why? Because of the size, force, and power producing advantages conferred by testosterone during puberty into adolescence, and the resulting player welfare at risk that his creates. For women, the only way to stop the nonsense is to not play. If enough women don't play, then things will change. No, I 100% agree. I agree with you. But here's the problem with this culture, is that they won't do this. They simply just won't do this. And that's the problem. We have seen time and time again to where women's ability to critically think or do anything correct at all is beneath them and makes them incapable of doing so. Now, ladies up here potentially watching, you're probably thinking, well, that's really hard, Jan reports. Well then, for instance, when anything is bad in society, when anything is debauchery, when you see women do OnlyFans, do you defend that or do you go against it? Because you have to realize that when you do this stuff, it's a bad look on you. And the problem is that I don't see enough of you, especially even in that video, where women saying they don't give a fuck. They don't care whether their rights are destroyed and their other partners or sex is getting completely obliterated in that fact. They just don't care. So, due to this, and I have this mentality, why should men have to care about what women do and what happens into their sports? Because they deserve everything that they get. If you don't care about your own sex getting destroyed and completely injured and losing your rights, losing your sports, and you guys getting raped and your locker rooms and all this other stuff, why should we care? Because you don't care enough that this is happening. And the only time that they do care if it happens to them because they're children. And again, women, you may think this is harsh for me saying this, but you guys need to go against the narrative. We cannot fight back with you. Men are completely hated, gone against, lied to, etc., for eons now. This is a constant thing that happens to men. So the only way that this could be fixed or any remotely at all is for you to step up, stop going to these sports, stop doing these things, and maybe fix the culture and fix your own stuff. You have to fight for your own ability to do so, because men have been doing that since the inception of man, and now you women, now that you have your rights, you have to, well, be strong with your rights. When you get rights, you have responsibilities, you have power in some sense, and when you band together, you have the ability to make a lot of things happen. But when you don't band together and you cater to the typical social media, when you cater down to the social pressure or social status, this is the results that you get. You can't have rights and be flimsy with it and just be A-okay or whatever. You have to be able to have some type of ability to push back on what you believe in. And if you believe this is okay, then fine, but you lose everything that you worked hard for. You're making all the women that truly, honestly worked hard for their actual rights to get them, that was bestowed upon them, to lose them all and have them turning in their graves because of this. So good on you. I guess that's just your fault in this sense. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's my rant for it. You ladies can be angry or happy about it, whatever you so fit, but it's up to you to change it. And obviously, not all women are doing this. All women are obviously not doing this. You have like Riley Gaines and stuff like that, or what have you, are doing things in God's work trying to prevent this stuff from happening. And I see them working hard for it. Those women should be applauded. Those women are brave. Those women should be acknowledged for their hard work. The women that let this go idly by and just let it happen, you deserve what happens to you. And I don't feel sympathy when that shit happens to you and you didn't fight back against it. Sorry, you can't have my sympathy. We have more from the great Nashville attack. It seems that a little bit of interesting manifesto has been released. There's some pressure has come afoot. Parents' efforts to suppress Nashville shooter Audrey Hale's manifesto would be unprecedented if granted. Unprecedented. My apologies. So the efforts in Nashville community members to stop the release of Covenant school shooter Audrey Hale's writings, if successful, would be an unprecedented move that could have a bigger implications going forward, an open government expert told the Post. Tennessee's Victims' Rights Salute does not give individuals a carte blanche to veto the laws, such as the one that allows people the right to public records, and said Deborah Fisher, executive director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government. There's nothing really to indicate that there would be this ability for victims to veto the release of otherwise public records, and in this case, crime records, Fisher said Thursday. Fisher is not a party in the ongoing litigation over whether Hale's writings, previously described as a manifesto, should be released. But she was asked by an attorney involved to provide her input on the history of the victims' rights. Legislation, she said. In this case, the perpetrator is dead, she went on, but if the shooter had gone to trial, most likely the writings of the shooter would be part of the evidence in the case about motivation. I don't think that in that situation the victims could veto those being submitted in a public trial, and I don't think that they can veto them being released as crime evidence in a case that doesn't go to trial because a person is dead, added Fisher, who is also the director of the John Singenhaler Chair of Excellence in First Amendment Studies at Middle Tennessee State University. Victims do have legally defined rights as it pertains for criminal proceedings. Their exposure to an alleged perpetrator and privacy related to sexual assault and victims' personal information. There are a lot of reasons not to think that was ever any intention that there would be an unspecified kind of veto right of victims to prevent the release of public records. Fisher and Tsog is interested in the outcome of the litigation because of its potential for bigger implications. If the courts do conclude that victims have a veto over the release of crime records, that could create a whole new equation in Tennessee about what the public gets to know about crime or even possibly criminal trials. Hale's parents last month transferred ownership of her manifesto to the families of convicted school students who are battling to stop them from being released. Yeah, so essentially, the parents of this crime are trying to prevent the manifesto from being released, which also means that the parents are also trying to prevent more future crimes with these type of things being held to be released as well, which is disgusting in that aspect because we don't want the manifesto of our child, of our kid, to be released because it would look bad on us. By the way, I would like that to be released, considering that 3 children were killed in this horrific crime, and 3 other teachers were also killed in this horrific crime. So I don't really care about what your child is or what your child was. They could be a bloody monster, or they could be a white person that did this, and I would still want the manifesto released. So maybe, just bloody maybe, release the manifesto and stop battling to defend this type of BS, because it's really getting annoying in this aspect. The move effectively means the parents for reeling from the 20-year-old shooter rampage, which killed 6, are now working with the killer's family to stop her voluminous writings from being made public. Hale, who was transgender, blasted into the private elementary school on the morning of March 27 and carried out the killing spree before Metro Nashville police shot her down. Which means that the manifesto that this person has is probably a lot worse and evil than what seems to be realized. There's a reason why they don't want this manifesto released. There's a reason why. Because it probably shows that the transgender community is... This is alleged, by the way. I am not saying that this is the case, but it's probably showing that they were actively going out to kill Christians in this regard. That they were literally going out to, that their prime objective is to go out and do this, where the trans community is going on and saying this out in open or whatever. That's my allege or assumption of what's possibly in that manifesto. And if that is the case, if they are in the manifesto of that, then that shows a lot of that really hurts the trans community. And the reason why I want this out as fast and as soon as possible is because I want to see on what the trans community, on what the actual manifesto says, because we need to stop this trans BS. And if the only way to stop it is to go after this, then so be it. Students Evelyn Dickhouse, Haley Scruggs, and William 009 were killed, as well as a school janitor Mike Hill, 61, substitute teacher Cynthia 61 Park, and all that stuff. And head mistress Catherine Kuntz, 60, who reportedly ran towards the children to try to protect the kids. And kudos to those people. You have my salute. You have my support. Rest in peace. You find people for trying to protect children in the wake of this outrageous and horrific crime. And the fact that the parents are trying to defend this and not prevent more people from getting hurt or injured is disgusting. And you guys should also be put in jail for this as well. If I'd probably do this, and you guys can question if that's wrong or not. But if people are willingly trying to not release evidence to the public, or willingly not trying to release things that could help save lives, then they should probably be arrested for an X period of time and put in jail, because that's disgusting. This should just not be allowed. The parents just don't want this released. Of course, there may be other laws that may pose an issue to this, but I digress. Hale had written diaries, journals, and drawings which freedom of information advocates are seeking to make public, but the school is fiercely opposed to. Several politicians, a newspaper, and gun rights groups are seeking the release of Hale's writings, arguing any potential charges to firearm regulations based on the shooting would not be fair without knowing more about Hale's motives and mental state. 100% agree. If you're going to try to remove guns and ban them, and you won't release the actual the true motivation onto why they did this, then it makes your whole ban guns thing very, very, very hollow, because that means, what was their motivation? Why did they do this? And if it was just due to other bad reasons, then, well, I hate to tell you, but it's just dumb. Those parents are as awful as the shooter they raised, and I 100% agree. And I would say that not all parents should be held liable for the death for mass shootings, right? That's just it. I don't think all parents should be held liable for their kids' wrongdoings. I don't think that should be allowed. However, if they are willingly trying to not release private information to the public, and they're willingly not wanting to release a manifesto to release for the motivation, then yeah, they're just as bad as the shooter, if not potentially worse, because they're trying to protect somebody that should not be protected in general, and they should be jailed. Plain and simple. Under the proposed law, people deemed risk to others or themselves would have their firearms taken for up to 180 days. Chancery Court Judge Aisha Miles ruled in May that 100 of Covenant schools, 110 families had a right to intervene in the litigation, and said he would consider arguments from the family's camp. The Covenant School and Covenant Presbyterian Church has also been allowed to weigh in. The groups seeking across documents have since appealed Miles' decision and asked the judge to suspend proceedings pending the appeals process. However, the Metro Nashville Police Department remains in control of the manifesto, regardless of who technically owns the file, and police have said Hale's writings are among ongoing investigation, which could take another several months. We have a bit more information here with the Nashville shooter, so please stay tuned. We have that Nashville Christian scooter Audrey Hale had mysterious notes on clothing when he started shooting. The Nashville Christian school shooter Audrey Hale had mysterious handwritten notes on his clothes. A knife inscribed with his chosen name of Aiden and an anklet with the number 508407 etched on it, an autopsy report revealed. The report came 4 months after the transgender shooter opened fire at the Covenant School, killing 3 adults and 3 children on March 27th. The autopsy revealed Hale's clothing was covered in handwritten words, drawings, and numbers. It's unclear what was written on her clothes. The report also noted that Hale, 28, wore an orange plastic anklet with the mysterious inscription 508407. I wonder what that bloody means. The autopsy was released as a debate escalated over the decision to release the manifesto and other writings of Hale, which were recovered at the crime scene and his parents' home. The report noted Hale identified as a transgender man, but was listed as a female officially. The medical examiner determined Hale's cause of death to be homicide by gunshot wounds. The toxicological analysis found no detection of drugs or alcohol. Hale opened fire at a Christian elementary school in Tennessee on the morning of March 27th, killing 6 people, including 3 9-year-old students. With an assault rifle in hand, Hale shot down the door of the Nashville area school and stalked the hallways before opening fire on his victims. Hale murdered Holly Scruggs, William Kinney, Evelyn Duckus. You get the gist. He used 3 of 7 legally purchased guns to carry out the shooting. The transgender artist had a detailed map of the building and conducted surveillance outside the Covenant School he once attended before carrying out the devastating massacre. Woo! Police stormed the school 14 minutes after the shooting and started and gunned down Hale in the mezzanine area. I think it's pronounced that. I'm not entirely sure. Dramatic body cam footage captured the moment officers Rex Engelbert and Michael Colazzo brought the massacre to an end. Shiles was shot dead by police after seeking his attack. Investigators released body camera footage showing police officers taking down Hale. Police said he was transgender and allowing use of pronouns he, his, although they preferred to Hale, who was born female, as she. I'm not quite sure which one this is. If it's a female, then it's a female, but I'm not entirely sure. That means gonna keep on calling him he because it looks like a obviously female person. Hale ran Audrey Hale Illustrations, described her as a commercial illustration and graphic design. So yeah, what we have here is that we don't know the actual motives of Hale in general. But what I'm seeing here is that they have more here that says the motives Hale's for action has been established and remains under investigation by the homicide unit in consultation with the infamous behavioral analysis unit. Investigators found a suicide note, weapons and ammunition in Hale's possession. A manifesto and a map of the Covenant School were also among the items. The Metropolitan Nashville Police Department said in May that it would be not release the manifesto pending litigation. In June, a lawyer for the parents of Nashville school shooter Hale said a manifesto found by investigators after the massacre would be handed to the families of students at the school. The parents have stated they do not want the manifesto released to the public. The pledge made public during a court hearing comes amid an ongoing legal battle over whether the writings by Hale, who killed 3 children and 3 adults at the Covenant School on March 27, should be made public. Lawyers for the victims' families and the school have argued against the release of the so-called infamous manifesto, but others, including some media outlets and the National Police District, say it should be published. Yeah, I agree. It should be published and announced to everybody. Fuck you people for not wanting to release it. So we have one more amazing and fantastic article for you all to see. We have sexy AI generated influencers are suddenly swarming social media with fake names and backstories with one goal: con desperate men. Now, you're not going to see me here trying to defend men of this of their great and egregious uncontrollable behavior. Because why should we, right? Now, men, I understand you may all had your partners here and there. You may have had your horrible run-ins with women, as we all have, because they I don't know what guy hasn't, but I think there's a little bit of debauchery, a little bit of insanity here. If you're looking to talk to an AI-generated influencer that may want to tell you sweet nothings, just my opinion. With a vast amount of filters and photo editing apps at users' disposal, it can be hard to tell what's real and fake on social media these days. But DailyMail.com probe has found a budding world of scantily clad AI influencers who are conning desperate men out of money. Earlier this week, a 19-year-old blonde bombshell known as Milia Skofia made headlines when it emerged she was artificially generated. Since then, we've uncovered dozens of digital influencers on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter who have often have fake names and elaborate backstories, jobs, and interests. AI-generated photos show them on fake vacations. These rising stars, in quotation marks, who combined have had hundreds of thousands of followers, are receiving admiration and cash from real men. And look at these artificial influencers. By the way, they look absolutely perfect. In fact, they look stunning. I'm pretty sure any guy would be any bit romantically and want to have some relations with these fake women. If they were real, of course. But, they're not. And one thing's for sure, I don't think these OnlyFans girls, the real ones, not the fake ones, are going to be doing so well. The OnlyFans girls are going to be out of competition or out of the job. And the reason why this is, and why thoughts are going to have to really up their game, or they're going to have to quit their job because they're going to be losing to the AI influencers, is because, well, the AI influencers can be perfect in this regard, right? They can just be perfect. And in this sense, how are they going to be able to compete? And this is actually probably good for society in retrospect, honestly. Because if this just makes it to where the market is just full of AIs and rather real women being in there, this is probably better because it allows women to go out and try to get actual decent relationships and what have you, rather than having to sell their bodies on OnlyFans or what have you, and and honestly ruin themselves. Andrea is a brown-haired beauty with more than 30,000 followers on Twitter X who comment on her lewd photos. She includes her PayPal account details in her bio and offers news images for subscribers on Patreon. Andrea's Patreon offers plans all to chat with her, and for $300 a month, she will basically be your online girlfriend, which is disturbing in every single regard. I'm not that desperate in the least with this, but be as it may. The human creators of these AI influencers are unknown faces on the web, only pushing out content to likely live a life they had only dreamed of. Melia Sophia is an aspiring fashion model with a portfolio of portraits showing her tanning in Bora Bora, taking the views in Greece, and working in corporate office. She has made headlines this week after futurism uncovered her existence online. Some AI-generated personas like Michaela Sosa have been revealed to be marketing stunts that turn into gold mines, etc., etc., etc. So you gotta get the gist of what's going on here with these AI influencers and all this stuff. And I don't see how this is gonna be really remotely good for women here, but as it may, it's happening. And I don't think that it's gonna end too well for ladies in this backyard. But at the end of the day, I think this is gonna be a benefit to society. I think it's gonna be worse for obviously women in this regard, because in terms of the OnlyFans and for men. But we just need to make sure that men can do better, and do better we shall. Hopefully, this is the market that was kind of coming into place. This was bound to happen. A lot of influencers are going to be in trouble, and we'll see what guards. But guys, that's it for all the craziness today. I might stream tomorrow. It might be the normal, typical video stuff going on, but I want to try to get in more in rotation of the streaming stuff, because by the end of this month, I'll be having more things that are ongoing here, potentially with all this stuff, right? Hopefully I have more subscribers, people can start subscribing to my stuff, get a little bit more outgoing stuff, all that there. So hopefully I'll have that be going by the end of the month. And another thing as well, I may have a potential podcast for the Covecast coming up. So I may have two. I may have a doctor talk about some of the things that are happening in the doctor's field. So that may be going on. And then might be having a psychologist or something that may be doing something with transgender stuff. So we'll see there. But that's all in the up in the air. I don't know if I'm going to accept that or not, because psychology is not really something I really want to talk about on this channel all too much. But I digress. It's still a work up in the air. We'll see how it goes. I may have two people for it, and we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, that's it for the stream today. Love you all. Hopefully to see you guys tomorrow.